Well, tonight we've got somebody who has not once, not twice, but 3 times in 3.5 years. And she's going to talk to us about her experience, including a wonderful flight that we took together just a little bit over a week ago. So welcome. I'm Capt Ron. This is Fearless Flight Live. It is our weekly show for anyone who has a fear of flying, anybody who knows and loves someone who's afraid to fly, or anybody who's just plain interested in talking about airplanes, because that's kind of what we love to do. Our goal is to help you change the way you think about flying, because if you have a fear of flying, that's the only thing you need to do, is just change the way you think about it. Change those stories that you tell yourself. With me tonight, longtime friend, fellow Captain Eric Larson. Hey, Eric. And with me, as usual, our favorite first officer here at Fearless Flight, and our ace wingman, Chief Technical Officer, Dieter Stonier, all the way live from Toronto. Like that's something special we do, just to bring you all the way from Toronto. That's hard. Anyway, glad to see you, Dieter. And you didn't have to come sliding in at the last minute today. The game must have ended early. So
yes.
This is baseball season in Toronto. So
well,
tonight on the show, we just want to mention again, we're gonna highlight at the end the Cliff Takeoff 201 class we've got coming up on July 20th. And we're going to start out right away with a poll question before I bring our guest on. So if you can pop that sucker up there, Dieter. What we're interested in is we're going to talk about delays. And then Eric's got a little thing that he's worked up here, something new that we read about in the industry. So if you could pop that slide up.
Give me a second.
I'll wait till it appears. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the max, how much do delays in your flight add to your anxiety when you fly? So in other words, you're either on the airplane waiting somewhere, you're waiting in the terminal, waiting for the airplane to come in. You don't know the reason. Maybe they said it's delayed due to mechanical or weather or something like that. On a scale of 1 to 10, what does that do? How much does that trip your trigger? 1, not at all. 10, I'm thinking about turning around and going home. Okay. And so just pop in a number there, 1 through 10, and we'll know what you're talking about. And then we got another one here. We'll pop that one up, and we'll take a look at that throughout our thing tonight here.
And I definitely want to hear from Andrew. Andrew, you're back from Spain. It's great. It's great to have you on. Definitely would love to hear your experience. But also Mary. Hey Mary, if you guys. On a scale of 1 to 10, could let us know how much that does impact when there's delays in flights. That would be really cool. Jeremy, you as well. Lily, Jim, hey Rob, we're getting a lot of
hey Dieter, you know that I'm getting text along the bottom of the screen. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh my gosh, I can't. It's not enough. It's not big enough, so I can tell the flow there. So anyway, okay. How about popping the second poll question up there?
Okay.
And that one is on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the max again. What's the story you tell yourself? And I alluded to some, the weather and all that. So first question: how much does it freak you out? 1 to 10, 1 being low, 10 being high. And then what's the story you tell yourself? So if you would put that in the box down there, we want to make sure that make our typical mention of, if you're not a member of our Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather group, please consider that. Join us, go over there, introduce yourself in the group, ask questions, share your story, experiences, and any resources you might find, or support others as they prepare to fly. So. Okay, so we got the poll questions out of the way. We'll maybe go back to those from time to time, and we'll go back to that, Eric, when we do that we'll talk about the delays and stuff down the road here. Right now we got a special guest, Tanya Owens. Tanya, this is the kind of sacrifice that she's willing to make. How tough is this hair appointment? Like Tuesday night is your night, right? That's the only time you can do this. And you sacrificed yourself, got on the phone, got this all done early so you could join 3 whatever we call ourselves to come on and join us tonight. So thanks, Tanya. I really appreciate it. And and I really am excited about you getting to tell your story here, because it was a blast talking with you and flying with you that day. So the first thing we usually do is just, can you tell everybody just briefly, you know, what is your story, you know, as far as flying, and what's the deal?
Well, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. We did it. Well, I guess I was never, kind of always a little bit of a hesitant flyer, never super duper comfortable. I had a child and I had to start flying with her, and everything kind of just went away. And I don't know, I was a flight attendant for a brief period of time, and
that's the fun part, I think.
Yeah, that's the best part. I definitely didn't have any fear of flying when I flew for Alaska Airlines.
Yeah, if you can pull it just a little closer, and it's straining the resources a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's a little bit louder. That's better. Okay. And we're getting freeze, so we might have you turn off your video because yeah, we can hear you, but it's freezing up because it takes a lot of resources probably to do the video and the audio. So maybe just go to audio if you can, or maybe just freeze. Yeah, it's probably taken too many resources to get her in there. You just got a slide up there with your name on it. If we can get the audio back. She may be logging in again. Okay, you're back.
I'm here.
All right.
Here we go. Can you hear me?
Okay. So we can hear you. So you were among other things a flight attendant. Did you notice your symptoms? Was that after your flight attendant experience, or was that before when you had your child?
Before I was a flight attendant, and then it just kind of went away for a while, and I was okay to fly. Just can't get over the picture of us right there. God, we're so cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, two of you are. The guy in the middle is kind of old.
The guy in the middle is the best. Look at, I'm picking up your shirt right there, Fearless Flyer. It's the best. So it went away, and then I was a flight attendant, and I never experienced it, and I flew. It's funny, I don't know if it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, flying got really tough for me, and I had all kinds of weird practices, and then 3.5 years ago, I live in LA, and I flew to San Francisco, and it was just a rough flight, and I got off the plane, and I told my husband we're driving home. I'm not getting back on the plane. And he said, fine, let's drive home. And I've attempted to fly 3 times in the last 3.5 years. And every time it's resulted in me getting off the plane.
Yeah. But you actually boarded, and then it just overwhelmed you, and you turned around and got off.
Yeah, yes. I've had 3 different experiences. One time we got as far as push off, and we were headed towards the tarmac, and I told him to go back. That was probably the most humiliating. And then let's see, this second time they shut the door and I asked to leave. And then the last time I boarded in the back of a plane at Long Beach, I walked through and walked straight off.
Nice.
And exited the front. Bye.
Yeah, you get style points for that if you never stop. You just keep going. So all right. So then you had the misfortune of running into me in Fearless Flight. So how did that happen?
So I can't believe it. I was home, and I was home sick, and my sister-in-law called. She had heard something on the radio or a news, I don't remember, and she said, hey, I want you to call this gentleman. I want you to call this thing. It's Capt Ron. He's having he's having a thing this weekend. It's at Air Hollywood in Burbank, and I think you should give it a try. And I'm like, oh, I don't need it. I'm good. I've been working on it. I'm fine. I have other things I'm doing. And I don't know, I called you and you called me back like so fast.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there I was in Burbank, and And man, just being able to be inside of that airplane, getting all of the knowledge, super comfortable. I don't know, it's always been reassuring to me that you were a captain, and Eric.
And what you're talking about is you actually came to the class that we had over at Air Hollywood Studios in Pacoima over there, which will be coming back in October 26th on that. So you ended up coming to the class. What made you want to come to the class when you thought, because you said you were good?
I just thought I should try, and well, obviously I wasn't good because nothing was working, but I just was like, kind of felt like nothing was going to work. So I just didn't want to have another attempt. And I just did it. I didn't have anything else to do, and I just did it. And you were so accessible and so kind. And I just thought, wow, if he's going to call me back this quickly, and I think the thing that was really like for me was the availability that you had, that to you, that I think was the thing that I just kind of felt like I wasn't having to do this alone. Yeah. And so I showed up for the class, and then of course I had a reason that I did not fly, but the bottom line is I didn't fly that day.
Sure. Yeah. And we don't force anybody to fly. It's nope. A lot of people are good with just the class there, but and we're going to do that again on July 20th here coming up in Phoenix, the same model we use over there. So then afterwards, you what caused you to, you called me up and you said, hey, I want to do this one-to-one thing with you. We did elite coaching. And so what was that all about? What prompted you to do that, Tanya?
I felt like after I was in the class with you, I wanted to be connected to this whole program that you had. And I knew that if I kept the lifeline going with you and we could talk about it, and we had some pretty, we had some pretty cool in-depth, we had some conversations that were pretty cool. And then we did some
online coaching sessions, which
yes. And then we had talked, the last time we had talked, I said that I was going to just fly with you in July, and I was going to come out, I was going to drive from LA to Phoenix, and I was going to come out and I was going to take your class again and then fly with you. And then I said, actually, the only reason that I'm saying is because I'm putting it off again, and I just need to make a reservation. And
which is really astute. That's a really good insight in your part. And a lot of people, we have a lot of people that sign up to come to the class, even the free classes that we do over here in Phoenix. And they'll say, oh, I got allergies to your enough, and I'm not saying that isn't happening, but that's what happens oftentimes to people. Stress lowers your immune system, and it makes things like that happen. But it was really insightful and not only insightful, but really honest on your part to say, you know what, I'm just putting it off. Because it is. And that is a strategy. It's called a safety strategy. When you make the decision either to get off the airplane like you did, or when you schedule a flight or plan to fly and then you don't, it does provide relief, right? Because as soon as you make that decision, you feel greatly relieved.
Totally.
And it influences you. That's why avoiding flying, if you're ever going to do it, is really counterproductive. So anyway, so we finally connected, and we got some tickets, and we went flying just a week ago last Sunday. So tell everybody about that. What was that experience like? Getting the day before, coming to the airport. What was it like for you?
Well, we were flying on Saturday morning, so Friday night I made sure I was just super busy, so I didn't think about it. So I think we were out in the boat until like 12 o'clock. So I had no time to think about it. But the minute I woke up Saturday morning, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I don't know why I did it. This is dumb. We need to refund these tickets. I was completely overzealous. I should just wait till July. And then I knew you were on your way from Phoenix to LA. So there was no stopping. So I'm like, well, I'll just show up. He'll feel sorry for me. Like, he's going to see how afraid I am, and this isn't going to work. And once you texted me the second you landed, and I don't know, I just kind of felt like, okay, he's here. We're going to do this. And we got on the plane, and how far into it do you want me to go?
And that was fun. How much fun were we having when we were sitting there waiting for them to close the door? And at one point you said, what did you say to me?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say. But I said, Well, I just know that was like my point of no return, and I had reinforced that behavior so many times by this is the time that I get off and I leave, that when it was happening, but that plane was so full of all of those like high school students.
Right.
I felt like I was there, I wasn't there. It was just like crazy. And then I just leaned forward and I just said, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I was resting my head on like the seat in front of me, and I was looking at you next to me and my husband, who I didn't want to go, but you were helping him as well. And I liked what you said. You were helping him help me. And that's what was important. And I told you I can't do this. And you said, okay. And you that was okay. And I said, well, no, I'm not doing this. I can't. You said, well, we don't say I can't. We say, today's not the day.
Yeah.
And
because we were actually planning for you to get up and get off and do it with that little window of opportunity when they pretty much get everybody boarded, but before they close the door. And then, and you were talking about, you were having some really, really, really heavy duty physical sensations, right? Do you remember those?
Yes, I mean, to some point, like people say what was going on, and I would like say like I was in a brownout, like I wasn't in a blackout, I was like in a brownout to where I was there and I knew what was happening, but I had no saliva in my mouth. I was 100 million degrees. My legs were numb. My back was on fire, and I just wanted off. Yeah,
and that's I mean, why wouldn't you want to get off? Because as soon as you get up and get off, it's gonna stop, right?
Yeah,
but you
even talking about it.
You didn't. I'm gonna high five you. You didn't, Tanya. You stayed on that airplane.
Well, and it was just your words, because you told me.
Yeah.
Just
well, my words, but your courage. I'd rather supply the words. Courage is a lot harder to come up with.
Well.
You got to own that. You got to own that. I appreciate that.
I tell you, when you said just not to, today's not the day, it clicked. Yeah. Something clicked like that, and I thought, okay. So if today's not the day, then when's the day going to be? And I don't know, like, am I still?
Oh, we lost you again.
Can you hear me? There you go.
Yeah, you're back.
If today's not the day, then when is the day? And then I thought about making the reservation, talking to you again, being freaked out to go to the airport, being freaked out when they shut the door. And I thought, God, I'm going to have to do this all over again. Like if I don't do it now.
And you compared it. You remember you compared it to another experience.
Yes. Of quitting smoking.
Yeah. And you said, I don't want to do that again, because when you do it, and then you got to start all over from square one. And that was so amazing. You were awesome. You were awesome in that moment. And then what was it like after that? And by that time they had shut the damn door. Okay.
Yeah. They'd shut the door.
And Don's over there, your husband Don over there, he's totally supportive. And what would you say? Would you say you're 1 to 10? Would you say when you were feeling all the sensations, you were up around a 10?
For sure. Yes.
Or a 10 or a 12?
Yes, I think the 12 was going to come in a little bit, but definitely a 10.
Yeah. And then what happened as soon as you made that switch, the door closed and all that, what happened to you? Because you were a different person after that point.
I just thought I was going to just I'm going to do this. And, in my mind, I was thinking, well, if I die of a panic attack, which I don't even know if that's like medically possible, but I just thought like, if I die of a panic attack, well, at least I tried.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at least I tried it and I got up in the air, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to die. And so they shut the doors and everything was fine. Like I was doing good. Like I was probably down to a 5 or 6.
Yeah. And people, I want to clarify for people, not everybody has that breakthrough right there like you did. Some people it takes through takeoff and into the climb, so maybe they're going to have it for another 5 or 10 minutes. And so I tell them, do you want to give up your life, the rest of your life, for 5 or 10 minutes? It's just not, it just sucks. Right. No. And I mean, you went, I think you told me you were like down to a 3 or something like that by the time we took off and then in the climb, you had a little bit of a resurgence. Do you remember that?
Oh, for sure. That was like the worst thing I've ever felt in my life. I just told you, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I can't, oh my God, And it was just, I would have put myself at least a 12 at that minute. And you just told me to look at you and make eye contact with you and to describe what my feelings were. And And well, I mean, whatever. I don't know if you want to talk about the rest of it, but
that's the essence of it. And just for the people listening, all that I do then is just bring you into the moment, because fear is about anything but the moment, right? Fear is about taking something out of the past, like the misery, and projecting it into the future. But when you're sitting there and you're feeling all that anxiety and stuff like that, it's over. The pain is over. You've already gone through it. There's nothing else to do. And so, bless your heart, you were just amazing. And when you had that little bit of a burp right after we got airborne, I remember you asking Don, says, can we rent a van in Vegas and drive back? And of course, he was super supportive. He said, of course we can. All right. But then that passed really quickly, and that was it. That was it for the rest of the day. You were just in hog heaven the rest of the time that we were flying.
Yeah, we were cheersing our water glasses, and I got really comfortable when I stood up and I looked out the window, and then that was it. The descent has never been a real problem for me, and I was so excited to land somewhere. I haven't landed anywhere in 3.5 years. And it was like that. I literally, I felt like I had just accomplished something that I don't even know what to compare it to, because I don't know what I've accomplished in my life, but that was like one of the best. I haven't felt that good in a long time. I did it,
And pat yourself in the back, because and Don too. I want to acknowledge Don, because he went with you. And I encourage people to, if they have spouses or partners, to go with them, because it does help. I think that they can learn how to support you. Because the downside is most of our non-fearful partners, they want to try to take us out of the pain, and then they get frustrated. They don't know what to do and all that. But no, you just sit there and support them, and so he can do the same things that I did next time. So anyway, I posed those poll questions to the crowd. If you do delays bother you?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the story that goes through you? We walk up to the gate and they say, the airplane's not going to be here for another half hour.
Well, I think just being fearful. I'm just wondering if I've gotten to a place where I'm somewhat comfortable with boarding the plane, then it's going to extend this time that I need to be comfortable, or that I need to be, whatever state I'm in. If I'm going to be fearful, whatever it's going to happen at that point in time. Yes, that would definitely make me it would bother me. It would be something to where I would want answers onto why it was being delayed or whatever was happening. But that wouldn't be something that I would care for.
Yeah. So I think, you want to take care of yourself like that. And just an example, if the airplane was late coming in and it was the same pilots going out, again, I recommend that you meet the pilots, and whenever you do that, and we did that day, but particularly if it's a delay, you walk up to the pilots and say, hey, where the hell were you guys? What was going on? And they'll tell you, it was weather, or we got behind. We didn't get the airplane until late because it was late coming in when we picked up the airplane and all that. So you want to take care of yourself, and you want to, reparent yourself. You want to find those answers out so that you don't have to build those stories that are really not true there. So anyway, so I'm going to invite Eric to come on here for just a minute. You can hang with us if you want. Eric saw something in the news the other day. We of course we worked at the same airline, and when Eric spotted this, we thought, hey, we'll throw this out there, because we know that delays freak people out. You make up a story in the moment there. The airplane's broke. We go, we're going to cheat death. We're going to die or whatever, but it isn't. So what did you find out there, Eric?
So I just saw this and I thought, this is a fantastic new tool that the airlines are using, almost like a new invention. And I got a couple of props talking about the changes in technology. And my first one is, I can't resist when I see an antique slide rule for sale at a garage sale. But this was my dad's, and
that was my computer.
Oh yeah,
I knew how to do that.
This is how our parents' generation, the ancestors of nerds, put people on the moon and into orbit with this thing.
Hey, excuse me, I was one of the nerds that had to learn how to use that sucker.
Yes, I used this thing in high school. That's all. Yeah. So, and many of our kids don't know what this is, but I wanted to show what a powerful tool this is, and computers have replaced that. And possibly even more impressive, invention-wise, if you think about the struggle of humanity for years with a very annoying package, the old ketchup bottle, how you'd try and get it out with the butter knife and you whack the bottom and the ketchup would go everywhere but where you wanted. And then somebody invented the ketchup bottle so it stores upside down and you don't have to fight it anymore. But it took decades to get here, to get to this ketchup bottle. And I'm sure whoever invented this has a huge corner office with a big view and makes a lot of money. Yeah. So I saw this thing about this airline software package, and Ron and I talked about for years, both of us, how horrible we would feel if we pushed back from the gate and saw passengers running or struggling to get on the airplane. We were leaving and they didn't make it. So the pilots, who automatically assume that they're smarter than the airlines and want to manage it, we would wait or reopen the door or put them down, and the airlines would say, no, you guys can't run the whole airline. You'll destroy it all doing this stuff. You run the airplane, we'll run the airline. Well, we would always feel bad when people came in and connected and didn't make their connection, or anytime they didn't make the airplane. But what the airline has done is to say, okay, when people are coming in from my favorite imaginary airport, East Overshoe, and to a hub and connecting to the next flight, sometimes they're late on the inbound. And the airline's previous emphasis was to close the door on time, no matter what, or maybe up to 10 minutes early. But now this new software program allows them to say, hey, we have X number of inbound passengers trying to connect to this flight. Is it beneficial to wait for them, or should we send them on the next flight? Can we hold the airplane 6 minutes or 10 minutes or 8 minutes without inconveniencing the other passengers on their connection or inconveniencing the operation downstream? So they put this at Brand X, they put this thing into use at a couple of their hubs to try this, and it will greatly improve getting people on board, making connecting flights, not inconveniencing the passengers on the airplane, and make it a seamless transition where they enrage their passengers less. And it's a huge leap, and I really hope it works. And our fearful flyers are saying, why would I care about that? I'm not going to fly that much. The last thing I'm going to be worried about is a connecting delay. But I've seen our graduates and people coming through class, and they go from afraid to approach the airport to releasing pent-up flying anxieties, and they become frequent flyers very quickly. And yeah. I thought this was a neat thing that will impact them in the future, and a neat thing for them to know about.
Yeah. Well, thanks. And yeah, I mean, you and I were saying, you know, what took them so long, basically, because they've had the data, but I suppose it just has to do with finding somebody to write the software and put it together. Yeah. Yeah.
How long did it take for that?
Yeah. Right. So anyway, okay. Well, we're up to where we wanted to shut this thing down. We want to again highlight. You can look at the screen there. The next Clear for Takeoff 201 class and 301 class, if you want to fly with us right afterward, is coming up Saturday, July 20th here in Phoenix. So take a look at it. We sent some emails out this past week, and we got quite a bit of interest on it. So if you didn't get it, let us know, or be patient. We'll be coming to your mailbox or a mailbox near you with the information, and we hope to see you out there. I don't know if Dieter's still on there. I think if you want to, do we have any questions that we need to address?
I didn't see any.
Okay, so next week I want to say a shout out to Susan up in the Boston area. She and I just talked a little while ago. I at least want to acknowledge her. I thought we were going to activate our call in tonight, but next week we're hoping that I don't think we have a guest scheduled so far, so we may just do kind of an open line. We're transitioning to where we can make this more like a podcast. We really, really want to invite you all to call in here, because that is the biggest value, is you getting your questions answered there and in a more direct way. So next week, we'll have a couple of phone numbers that we'll be advertising so that you can do that. Again, Tanya, hey, thanks so much. You are my latest hero. and I'm not kidding on that. Are you driving now? So we have to be careful. Okay, all right. So we don't want to see any red lights going on around there. So anyway, but thanks a lot, Tanya, for giving up your time tonight and doing that. And really, you are one courageous woman. I was so impressed when I saw you and met you. And so say hi to Don when you see him next. And thanks for joining us this week. Eric, thanks for scouring the weeds there and finding that item of interest. And we will be back next week, Tuesday night, 6:30. So thanks.
And a quick YouTube shout out to Teresa Martin, because she's saying, hey, Capt Ron, I'm flying tomorrow. So
hey,
definitely a quick shout out. And
cool.
We'll be back next week.
Okay, and leave your comments and questions, and we'll pick them up after the show here. So, all right. So thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Good night.